Hi guys, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to explain the unit 4, which is classification of processes. In my previous video, I explained about the representation of processes, which is time, events, and the situation. Now let's understand what are the classifications in the processes. Let's start. In knowledge representation, processes can be classified into various categories based on their nature, characteristics, and their functionalities. Means the process can be classified according to their nature or according to their characteristic or their functionality. We can classify or categorize the process into these forms, like according to the nature, how it is, and their characteristics, like its properties, and their functionalities, what the work they will be doing, what the functionality is there in the process. So it can be classified into these forms. Understanding the classification of processes is essential for effectively modeling and reasoning about the dynamic aspects of the world. Means classifying this process is very important so that we can model effectively. So this classification is very important. Why? Because we can effectively model and reasoning means we can solve the problems also, and we can modeling effectively also. So this classification is very important to understand. Now let's understand one by one. First one is temporal process. What is meant by temporal process? So in my previous video I explained about the temporal means what? It's like a duration or the time which we need to complete a particular event. Okay, means here temporal process involves events, or it may be the actions that unfold over the time. So the actions or the events which we perform over the time. Okay, so mainly they will be following these three things, which is initiation, duration, and termination. Means initiation means how we'll be beginning, how we'll be starting the task, and duration, how much time we'll be taking to complete the particular task. Termination means when we end that particular task. Start and the duration of that particular task and the end point is very important to perform any process according to the time. So these three things are very important. Initiation, duration, and the termination is very important to calculate. So and temporal processor pivotal for modeling the dynamic e-systems and the reasoning about the sequence of events and actions. Before only I talked about this thing. So to perform some sequence of events and actions according to some temporal time duration. So we'll be working with this temporal process. We have an event like which will be occurring at the single point of time. Okay, I will be explaining the example so that you can understand about this temporal process more clearly. Consider the process of cooking the dinner. So what is the cooking the dinner? So it will be in the form of some sequence of events or sequence of actions which we have to perform like one by one. So it will be some sequence of steps or sequence of process, we can say simply. Yes. Okay, it involves a sequence of temporal events, means the events which we'll be having in this form of a sequence according to some duration of time. Okay, like including preheating the oven. Suppose if you want to preheat the oven, this is the one step. After completion of preheating of the oven, we'll be chopping the vegetables. Then after chopping the vegetables, we'll be roasting the chicken into that. Okay, we can't directly roast the chicken into the oven. First we have to preheat, then we can keep the chicken into the oven. Okay, then plating the meal. After completion of this, we can serve. So this is some sequence steps we have to follow from starting to end. We can't take the last step to the initial position. Like we cannot take the raw chicken into the plate. So they will be having some procedures, some process, which guidelines which we have to follow in that particular process only, in the particular format only, according to some temporal duration. So this is nothing but temporal process. Temporal process means to perform a particular process or to perform a particular event, we have to follow some sequence of action, some sequence of events, some sequence of like properties or some rules which we have to follow to complete a particular event according to some duration of time. So that is known as the temporal processes. I think you understood. Next one is a causal process. What is meant by causal processes? Encapsulate cause and the effect relationship. So it mainly depends upon the cause and the effect relationship. What is meant by the cause and effect relationship between the events or the actions? Let's see the example so that you can understand what is the cause and the event relationship. Yes. So example is like healthcare. So in the healthcare, the causal process is linking smoking to lung cancer. So if we'll be smoking, if we'll do smoking, it leads to lung cancer. So it is having some link between the smoking and the lung cancer. Yes or no? It is some link between. So look, if we use this thing, we'll get this effect. It will be causing to this effect. So there is nothing but cause effect relationship. So this is some cause, and if we use the smoking, will be affected with the lung cancer. So this is a cause effect relationship between the two events or the action. This is one action. Smoking is one type of an action, and this is one of action or the event. So between these two actions, we'll be having the cause effect relationship. This is nothing but, see, they are saying that only cause and the effect relationship, where smoking increases the risk of developing the lung cancer. So the smoke increases, automatically the lung cancer also will be developing more and more. It depends on this. So it is cause and effect. If cause increases, depending on that, effect also will be increasing. So in this way, that is known as a causal process. And we can say like it leads to outcome. What outcome here? It's like a lung cancer and predicting the consequence of intervention. So we'll be predicting this. After, if we increase the smoking, it leads to lung cancer. We'll be predicting this lung cancer if we increase the smoking. Yes or no? So this is known as the causal process. Next comes under the procedural process. You can know this about this procedure more clearly in the next concept, which is this thing. Yeah, yeah. About this procedure, you can understand more clearly in my next coming video. But as of now, what is the general procedure meaning? The procedure is nothing but a sequence of steps generally. So in the general meaning, what is a procedure? Procedure, like it's like a sequence of steps. So this is sequence of actions or the steps to perform a particular task. To perform a particular task, we should have some sequence of steps. That is known as a procedure. Okay, I think you know what is a procedure. Why we need this procedure process? Because to execute the complex tasks. So for the small tasks, it is not that much necessary for this procedure. But when we have the complex task, it is must and should we have to follow some procedures. It's very important to solve the complex tasks. Yes or no? Yes. And planning, implementing the planning and the strategies. So if we have complex tasks to perform, we should have some procedure. We should have some process, and we should plan accordingly how to complete that particular task. And we have to keep this everything in a mind. Okay. See this example, like process of assembling the furniture. So it involves a series of procedural steps. So it will follow some steps, like look at here, reading the instructions. If you want to assemble the furniture, so directly we cannot go to the assembling the furniture. First we have to see some instructions, how we have to fit this, how we have to do. So we should have some knowledge on that. Without having any knowledge, we cannot directly blindly go into that. No. So we should read the first instructions, then we have to identify the parts. After reading the instructions, we'll get to know that what is this part and how it is useful, how how it is useful. So that first we have to read the instructions, then we have to identify the parts. If we read the instructions, we can identify the parts. If we not read the instructions first, we cannot identify the parts. So it should be in the form of sequence steps. Then after identifying the parts, we have to assembling the components. So we have to keep the components in the sequence order. After completing of sequencing the components, we have to check for the stability. After keeping that in a correct place, we have to check it is working correctly or not. So this is some sequence of steps to perform to assemble the furniture. We cannot go blindly. We have to have some sequence of steps to perform a particular this task. So I think you understood by this example more clearly. Next, hierarchical process. What is a hierarchical process? We'll be having like a hierarchical structure. So it's a structured process where we'll be having some levels, and these levels will be decomposed decomposed into the intermediate task, and this intermediate task is further subdivided into some atoms, and further we cannot subdivide it into the atoms, so till that we have to divide. So that is the hierarchical. So hierarchical means till we reach atomic level, so till where we cannot divide that particular process further, till there we have to divide the substance. Look at here this example, like we can see in the software development methodologies, like waterfall model where will be in the form of a waterfall. So one level after one level, level after one level, it will be in the form of a hierarchical tree structure till it reaches to the lower level atomic action, till it cannot divide that particular thing into the further, till that we have to break, divide. Okay, example, you know what is a waterfall model. So where it will be in this form of like see, this is the in the form of a circles, like planning, implementing, testing, which is this thing. So first will be the planning, then analyze, then design, and implement, and integrating, and testing, and maintaining. These are some steps which we have to follow for the software development methodology. So this will be in the form of like a hierarchical tree after one level, after one level. So this is the thing. So this is about the hierarchical process, where it will be in the form of a hierarchical tree in the structured format. Remember that thing. Next, which is concurrent process. What is a concurrent process? Nothing but multiple process execute concurrently at the same time, where we'll be having a multiple task. Look at here this example, like a word and web browser and the email. All this will be processing in the operating system. As for now, in the one operating system, this three multiple tasks will be performing. Oh, okay. Will be performing concurrently in the parallelly. After completion of one task, it goes to other, like multiple tasks will be performing at the same interval. So like a first user input, these are the inputs, then it will be executing this process, and it will be managing the system. So it will be in the form of like a three levels, three tasks. First the user input, then the executing the process, then management system. So it will be executing in the form of a parallel way. Parallelly, it will be executing parallelly. We can take example like multitasking operating system. So this is the thing which is a multitasking operating system, where the multiple tasks will be performing in the single period of time. This is known as concurrent process. Concurrent means at one time, at one duration, it's same interval of time, multiple tasks, multiple work will be handled.